A very good morning to all of you. I am Baleshwar Prasad Yadav, Assistant Professor in the Department of Philosophy and Religion. Today we have three dignitaries, speakers, Professor H.S. Prasad, Professor D.K. Mohanta, and Professor A.D. Sharma. Professor S. Vijay Kumar will preside over the function, and today we are going to inaugurate the program of lecture series to celebrate the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. So, before a formal debut, it has been a tradition of our department to start from the Deep Prajolan. So, I request all the dignitaries of the dais for lighting of the lamp, offering of the garlands to the goddess of Vidya Saraswati and honorable founder of this university, Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya ji. Now I request Professor Anand Misra ji to welcome all the dignitaries of the dais. Oh, Mangalachara. Now I request Karuna Nidhan for Mangalachara.
गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वर गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। गजाननं भूतगणाधिसेवितं कपित्थजम्बूफलचारुभक्षणम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारकम् नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजं विघ्नेश्वराय वरदाय सुरप्रियाय लम्बोदराय सकलाय जगद्धिताय नागाननाय श्रुतियज्ञविभूषिताय गौरीसुताय गणनाथ नमो नमस्ते। हरि ओम। ओम गणानां त्वा गणपति गुंहवामहे प्रियानां त्वा प्रियपति गुंहवामहे निधीनां त्वा निधिपति गुंहवामहे बसो मम आहम जानि गर्भधम त्वम जासि गर्भधम ओम अम्बे अंबिके अम्बालिके नमः नयति कशन सशस्त सद्भग स्वद्रिकां कां पिल्लवासिनीं कस्तूरी तिलकं ललाट पटले वृषस्थले कौस्तुभं नासाग्रे वरमौक्तिकं करतले वेणुकरे कंगणम सर्वांगे हरिचंदनम सुललितम कंठे च मुक्तावली गोपाल स्त्री परिवेष्टितो विजयते गोपालचूड़ामणि मंगलम भगवान विष्णु मंगलम गरुड़ध्वज मंगलम पुंडरीकाक्ष मंगलाय तनोहरि.
Thanks, Karuna Nidhan. Now I request a team of Buddhist scholars for Bodh Mangala Charan.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddha saranam gacchami gacchami saranam gacchami tutiyampi Buddha saranam gacchami tutiyampi saranam gacchami tutiyampi sangham saranam gacchami tutiyampi Buddha Vichaya Vichaya Suchaya Mangalaya Parachita Palanke Se Patavi Pokale Abhisek Sapabhutana Kapato Tisona Soma So Teta Sokano Somo to Jasuyata Jale Sopata Kina Kaya Kina Kina Pata Pata Kina Nikatawa Pata Kina Tusa Tusa Padewata Sata Sote Pawanto Te Pawatu Sa Tusa Pade Sabada Sata Sote Pawanto Te Pawatu Sa Tusa Wata Sa Sata Sote Pawanto Te
Thank you all, monks. Now, I request Miss Sneha and Aishwarya for rendition of Kulgit.
मधुर मनोहर अतीव सुंदर ये सर्व विद्या की राजधानी राजधानी मधुर मनोहर अतीव सुंदर ये सर्व विद्या की राजधानी राजधानी ये तीनों लोगों से न्यारी काशी सुज्ञान धर्म और सत्यनाशी बसे है गंगा के रम्य तट पर ये सर्व विद्या की राजधानी राजधानी नई नहीं वरुणासी नहाए जिनमें कबीर तुलसी भला हो कविता का क्यों नाथ ये बाग विद्या की राजधानी राजधानी विविध कला अर्थ शास्त्र गायन गणित खनिज औषधि रसायन प्रतीचि प्राची का मेल सुंदर ये विश्वविद्या की राजधानी राजधानी ये मानवीय जी की देशभक्ति ये उनका साहस ये उनकी शक्ति ये मानवीय जी की देशभक्ति ये उनका साहस ये उनकी शक्ति प्रकट हुई है नवीन होकर ये कर्म वीरों की राजधानी राजधानी मधुर मनोहर अतीव सुंदर ये सर्व विद्या की राजधानी राजधानी मधुर मनोहर अतीव सुंदर ये सर्व विद्या की धारिणी राज धारिणी। कृपया ताली ना बजाएं।
Thank you, Sneha and Aswarya. Now I request Professor Anand Mishra sir to felicitate all the dignitaries of the dais with garland and shawls. Professor S. Vijay Kumar is being felicitated by our head. He will preside over the function today. And now Professor H.S. Prasad is being felicitated with shawl. And Professor D.K. Mohanta is being felicitated. And now Professor A.D. Sharma is being felicitated by shawl. Respected House, you know we are assembled here today to celebrate the and mark the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, solemnized and actualized by the Government of India. Under this program, our beloved head of the department, Professor Anand Mishra ji, designed three sets of the series of lectures. The TRV Murthy lecture series is the first program. Second is the Radha Krishnan lecture series, and the third one is JL Mehta lecture series. Today, we are present here for TRB Murthy lecture series. Friends, you know that Professor TRB Murthy has been a glory of not only our department, but for the entire philosophical world. He was a doyen of Buddhist philosophy as well as the Vedanta philosophy. He was awarded Padma Bhushan in 1959 for his contribution in the area of education and literature by the government of India. He was born in Tamil Nadu in the year 1902 and got Nirvan in 1986. It is a big chance and occasion that a colossal cultural academic program is being celebrated in our university as Kasi Tamil Sangamam, and we are celebrating the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav with a iconic philosopher, thinker, author, and the teacher of the 20th century Indian philosophy. Professor Murthy represented Indian wisdom to the world fora by teaching in the universities of Oxford, Hawaii, Canada, and several others. He was a treasure of knowledge in Indian as well as Western philosophy, apart from his illustrious specialization in Buddhism and Vedanta philosophies. His famous work, The Central Philosophy of Buddhism, which is regarded as the rich corpus of Buddhist wisdom all over the world. So now this is a pious occasion for us to remember him and to reflect on the academic plans laid down by him. So now I request our head of the department, Professor Anand Mishra ji, for a formal welcome of the gathering. Professor Anand Mishra, sir, please come on the podium.
हरिओम।
Honorable Chairperson Professor S. Vijay Kumar ji, learned speakers of TRB Murthi lecture series on Buddhism, Professor H.S. Prasad ji, Professor D.K. Mohanta sir, Professor A.D. Sharma ji, convener of the lecture series, Dr. Baleswar Prasad Yadav ji, colleagues, students, friends present here in the seminar hall, and scholars connected to the program online. I, on behalf of the Department of Philosophy and Religion, welcome you all in the TRB Murthy lecture series on Buddhism. Friends, eminent scholars of Buddhism, Professor H.S. Prasad, Professor D.K. Mohanta, and Professor Ambika Sharma are here with us to deliver lectures on TRB Murthy. We are really very privileged that such scholars are here to present their views on TRB Murthy. Professor H.S. Prasad and Professor A.D. Sharma have been directly associated with the school which represents Professor T.R.B. Murthy, that may be called BHU School of Philosophy or Murthy School of Philosophy and Buddhism. They are somehow directly related. Professor D.K. Mohanta is also a scholar of Mādhyamika. He is well known to philosophy of T.R.B. Murthy, K.C. Bhattacharya. So all these scholars would speak on different aspects of Murthy's philosophy. I, on behalf of the Department of Philosophy and Religion and all my colleagues, welcome all these dignitaries. Friends, this lecture is being organized under Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The lecture series is sponsored by Indian Council of Philosophical Research, New Delhi, and IOEBHU. I am thankful to the authorities of ICPR and IOEBHU for granting the money needed for hosting this lecture series. I also welcome Professor S. Vijay Kumar ji, who has accepted our invitation to chair the program. Professor S. Vijay Kumar is the last student of TRB Murthy. He is closely associated with TRB Murthy. So we are really lucky that he is with us. I welcome you, sir. I welcome Professor Kripasankar Ojha ji, former professor and head of the department. Professor Braj Kishore Tripathi ji, again a scholar of Buddhism. Professor Vimalendra Kumar ji from Pali Department, Professor Paneer Selvam ji, who is connected online, Dr. Alok Tandon, Dr. Bipin Pandey, Dr. Pramod Singh, and others who are on online. I welcome other scholars who are present, our colleagues, students. I welcome you all. Thank you. Thank you, Bale. Sir.
Now, thank you, sir. Now it is turn of the speaker. But before calling him to uh, deliver his lecture, first I would like to introduce his brief bionet. Professor Prasad will deliver his lecture on the topic Value of Madhyamik System as Basis for World Culture today. He has been served for long in University of Delhi in the Department of Philosophy, and right now he is retired. He has got his doctoral degree from Australian National University, Canberra, and before the degrees, before the doctoral degrees, he has earned from Banaras Hindu University. He has served several administrative positions like head of the department, dean faculty of arts, member executive council, member academic council of Delhi University, chairman board of research studies, chairman Shivaji College, DU, and chairman Swami Shraddhanand College, University of Delhi. His area of interest lies in the Vedic and Upanishadic philosophy, Buddhist philosophy, epistemology, philosophy of language, ethics and time, Indian philosophy of mind, and meditation. And the subject he has taught at the University of Delhi is Buddhist philosophy, Indian philosophy of mind and meditation, Indian metaphysics, and value systems. He has guided doctoral thesis. The number of uh, supervised thesis is 15, and also he has supervised 15 MPhil research scholars. He has authored several books. Out of some important books are here that I am going to list. Amala Pragya, Aspect of Buddhist Studies, The Uttar Tantra of Maitreya, Essays in Time in Buddhism, Time in Indian Philosophy, Philosophy, Grammar and Indology, Shantrakshit, His Life and Works, The Centrality of Ethics in Buddhism, and still after retirement, he is continuously working on the books and several research papers. He has contributed to his credit many research papers. His biodata is so lengthy that it can't be completed even within 1 hour. It is too long. So I am coming just to summarize and say some. Still, he is editing 2 books and is right now working on several research papers, and he is present before us to deliver the lecture. So I request, sir, you to come to the podium to speak before us and bless us. Professor Prasad, sir.
Thank you very much for introducing me. I'm here and I was from here. My Atma is still here. Vedantic Atma is here and Buddhist Atma is there. So yeah. For any student of any institution, and if he or she is not teaching here, always miss the foundational. You can say for me, this institution has been the launching pad for me. I started in Banaras Hindu University. I mean, I got admission here. It was 71. And I lived for 2 years in Raghunath Ashram, in the Mandir, Mahavir Mandir, Kacha Ghat, near Assi. So my life in Banaras started like this. I remember my teacher in Ramkola, near Kushinagar. He wanted me to study here. And he said, you must go to BHU. He did master in English from here, and he was very fond of this university. He admired. He's no more, but he was my Adi Guru. But before that, I left my village in Bihar 57 years back. And I was with my uncle, and after he was in railway, and 3 years after that, I became alone, and he was transferred. And for 54 years, I have been all alone without taking the help from my family, even a single paisa. So my life was very different, very different. But anyway, that was the time when I came here. And my Guruji said, go to Banaras. He said that वहां हर कंकड़ में शंकर हैं. But I tell you, for 54 years, 54 सालन तक बनारस में तो हमने कितने कंकड़ देखे, शंकर एक बार भी नहीं देखा. But at the same time, I was so much, because I had inherited from my family, that my family, entire family had the focus so far as religious faith is concerned. That faith was in Hanumanji and Shankarji. But somehow I was so, how to say that, I was committed to this kind of, and lots of things are there, and I had nothing with me, not even 10 rupees, 15 rupees, 20 rupees. But in 9 years, my journey was so, you can say, consistently progressive, very progressive. I was selected for the scholarship in the Australian National University under Professor J.W. De Jong, who used to take only one, and he was from Harvard and Leiden, Netherlands, and he used to take only one student in 2 years, not more than that. And in his life, he had only, he's no more, but only he guided 8 or 9 candidates in his life. And he was editing Indo-Iranian journal, very profound scholar as something there. I was selected. I don't know how was I selected. And I tell you that I did not deserve. I did not deserve to be registered under his guidance. I tell you, this is just 2 or 3 minutes. This is very important. That I never, till now, I have never taken even a single paisa or single rupees from my parents or so anybody related to, etc. But I survived. And I tell you that when I was selected, I did not have 50 rupees with me to apply for passport. So it took 6 months to manage 50 rupees. And that was the time when the scholarship had come to end, because the VHU gives 200 in those days. Anyway, I got, by that time I was married, which was not the suitable time because but I was the eldest son of my parents. So that was the pressure. But anyway, I left for Australia with 250 rupees in my pocket. And at the airport, I converted it into dollar and I had $23. And $23, that was sufficient because everything was arranged from door to door with my family. But my family was not at that time ready because my daughter was just born in January and I had to leave in February. And when I got the gate pass, I took the flight from here. I had to go to Delhi, Delhi to Singapore, Singapore to Sydney, Sydney to Canberra. And I had $23. But when I got the gate pass and then I moved on, I had only 5 books. एक जूता था जो 3 साल में फटा नहीं था, शादी का था, उसको पहना, और जो उस समय का शर्ट और पैंट था वो पहना. 5 किताबें ली और चल दिए. And when I started moving towards immigration, then he shouted that, at the counter, "Hello, mister, come here. You did not pay. You did not pay the airport tax." I did not know airport tax. What does it mean? And how much? They got $21. Okay, I paid. Maximum I had $23. So I had only 14 rupees. Then it was so disturbing for me. Now I have only $2. And I had to stay in 5-star hotels and 3-star hotels. Even then, but those $2, I simply, even today, terrorized ho jate hain. Terrorized, very terrorizing that you are traveling in 5 plane and by air plane and different, and you have only 14 rupees. But that also was saved. This is my journey. And when I landed in Canberra, many people came to receive me at the airport because it was a very rare to work under Professor J.W. de Jong, very khunkar. And on the same plane, on the same, you can say, floor, Professor A.L. Basham was there, my name in the Namur Passmore was there, JGC Smart was there, the chapel was there, and so all these people. When I landed, then I was given $60. Professor de Jong gave me $60. He gave that you keep it for you. That was my start. And in 1 week, I got lots of dollars in advance. So I had lots of money in dollar. I started. There was a time in weeks' time, Prasad, I had written something in the draft of something like this one, and he warned me that you have come here to write a dissertation, not to study. It's just like that you are a driver of a car. You have come here to drive the car, not to learn driving in this car. You are supposed to have sufficient knowledge. Now take 3 years time to write. This was his position. And what happened that in 2-3 years time in the same year, I was writing something, and diacritical marks I did not know. How to Romanize Sanskrit terms, I did not know. I saw lots of things, rather everything. I still remember that. I feel that I could not, fulfill his expectation. Perhaps he was not happy. But towards the end, when I asked for 3 months time extension, rather no, why should you get any extension? Other students are in the queue. And he used to take only one student, as I told you, and he most preferred German and Japanese, because they knew 5 or 6 languages and lots of techniques, etc. How to do that, everything that I did not know. I was just stupid, and I am sure that you will find from my lecture that I am still stupid. I am still stupid. I took 5 months time, 10 months time to write an article. So one time when I submitted a draft in 1 month or 2, exactly I don't know. So there was a word nust, N-A-S-T-A, okay, Romanize. But dot below S, I had just left. And then he was so angry that today you are still committing horrible mistakes, he gave in writing. And then he used the Parinese grammar 10 or 12 sutras to say that why should S dot should be here, because there are 3 something like this one. And I am telling you, that was a kind of enlightenment for me. Buddha is different. I didn't know who is Buddha. Of course, at that time, I had not studied that much. Anyway, the Buddha is Buddha, but how to understand Buddha? And then he said, and it was such a, for days and days, I could not sleep properly. That I don't deserve. The same man, whether it's me or him, towards the end, when I said that I 3 months time, why should you be given? And he said that no. No means that go back. But towards the end, when I showed the entire, and he used to take draft, and every facility was there, and I used to type everything with all these things. In the meantime, I had learned lots of things. And then he said that, no, you don't need extension. Your first draft is final draft. That is, how did it change? And then he said that, that time when I remember, this was so horrible. The entire family had arrived. And I was given a big flat, which is given to the professors, because we were 3 members, I was given like this one. Now, you see, how did it happen? I did not have in my life any option for failure. Never. There was no option. No option. I could not have afforded failure. एक भी नहीं बार फेल होना हमारे जीवन में संबंध था. And likewise, I feel that. And I tell you, मैं आपको इस मंच से कह रहा हूं, बीएचयू को हमने जो है उसको बदनाम नहीं किया. आज हमारे लेख जो है हम किसी को देते नहीं है. And I tell you that 20 publishers of the world have published my articles. Each article takes 3 years, 4 years, 2 years, etc. My book, Centrality of Ethics, took 18 years. But all alone I struggled with myself. कुआं खोदना, जब जब प्यास लगे कुआं खोदना, और कुआं जो है फिर अगला प्यास हो तो फिर कुआं खोदिए. That is my life, my कछुआ चाल. But continuously, I tell you that, हम अपने मित्रों को आपको बताते हैं कि ये this has been the VHU proved to be the launching pad for me. बेटा पैदा हुआ, 20 रुपये का ट्यूशन नहीं मिला, और हॉस्टल में मैं पैसा नहीं दे पा रहा था. सब्जी बेचने की कोशिश की, नहीं बेच पाया. ठेला लिया, नहीं हो पाया. कैसे कर सकते थे? विजय इसके साक्षी हैं. इनसे कहा, इन्होंने कहा कि मंदिर पर एक स्टॉल है, शायद इनको नहीं याद होगा. अब वहां भी 50 रुपया मिलने वाला नहीं था. एनीवे, लेकिन I assure you, and that is the truth, that every day, even today, I study 15 hours in 3 installments every day. And then I write. I take everything. Now, so far as Professor Murthy's book is concerned, Professor Murthi passed his MA in 1932. He completed his PhD, if I 20? 32 में रजिस्ट्रेशन हुआ, 39 और 48, अच्छा 48 में शायद उन्होंने थीसिस जमा की, 40 days में. And he published his book in 57, 55. He was my ideal. When I returned from Australia, I used to go to him to meet. Before that, I had nothing to say. But he was so engaging. He never insulted that you are stupid, why do you come with me? There were some people, aram se, very easily used to insult. I had no competition with everybody, nobody with anybody. Still, I have no competition with anybody. Never. This transformation is because of knowing the Buddha's philosophy a little bit, I am telling you. Attakar, autonomy. I did not wait for the bliss or grace from any god, not even Buddha. Because Buddha had nothing like bliss in his career. He used to say, I am Margadata, I am not Mokshadata. I am Mokshadata. So you are the karmas. And Buddha, no, this, I have still, the book is there, which I bought in 1974. The book is still there. And I tell you, it is such a enigmatic, such a brilliant, such a, you can say, classical Indian smart ne kaha tha. This is a classical work. Indian smart was from California, he was my examiner of the thesis. And you see I don't say luck, but somehow all the 3 examiners waved at the viva. Indian smart was there. And I left Australia with my family, with a child, new child, my son. And I did not have, I remember, only 10 rupees. Now today my son, on my path, he realized my journey, and my daughter, who is in Atlanta, G company's director, I don't know 20 लाख महीना मिलता है कि कितना. बेटा का तो पता है कि 16 लाख रुपये पर मंथ मिलता है, मुझे मिलता है. मुझे कोई ऐसी गर्व नहीं है कि 16 लाख पर आया, हमको 20 रुपये भी नहीं मिले। नहीं, मुद्रा तो बहुत है, इंडिया को बदल दीजिए, 2 लाख 2 का होगा, आप हो सकता है। तो इस चीजें, सारी चीजें जो मूर्ति साहब की जो फिलॉसफी की, आई स्ट्रगल विद दैट बुक, आई स्ट्रगल सो मच that how to understand all these things, all this. Okay, so simply I want to say that the whole credit goes to BHU and Banaras, and that's why I'm grateful to all of you, to this institution, and then I'm coming to this one. And बहुत से लोगों को अच्छा नहीं लगेगा कि कैसे अपने कंपेयर करते हैं, लेकिन ये है कि somehow you become successful. This is successful. ये तो है. Now, so far as Buddha is concerned, Buddha has, you know that philosophy starts with vyaghat. That if something, a striking experience is there, then you become reflective. Whether a snake or rope case is concerned, or the entire human predicament is concerned. And that was in his mind, that there are lots of gods, lots of, you can say many messengers, etc., whatever, but nobody comes to help you. Nobody comes to help you. Even today, in the entire world, gods are there. Many powerful deities are there. Everywhere. I'm not talking this one. But as being a Hindu or Buddhist, both follow Sanatan Dharma. Okay? And in Sanatan Dharma, as a human being, I'm also a divine being actually. And I have to develop this kind of thing. Now, Buddha had, you know, that he had only one problem, and that is actually, that is dukkha and dukkha nivriti. He had only two ideas, that dukkha is there and I have to eliminate that dukkha of the entire humanity. And this was the God, and then he left home, and then he reached towards the Magad area, and then he started. And he had a teacher, meditation teachers, Alar Kalam and Uddha Karamaputta, but they were not happy with the Buddha, and they simply deserted him. And from there, but ultimately you will find that when he, I mean the methodology of the Dhyan process, he created. He is the first one who formulated this one in his time. And I tell you that there is only one sutta which was neglected throughout the world, and that is Arya Pariyasan Sutta. And Arya Pariyasan Sutta is that sutta which is described or taught much later than Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, which had the doctrinal principles, you can realize it. Pratiti Paticca Samupad, or Four Noble Truths, Arya Satya, or Majjhima Patipad, all these things they had. But once he was asked in the gathering of the monks that sir or revered teacher, please tell us your autobiographical details, your experiences. And then he narrated the entire thing. And at that point, when he realized that at one point he said that I cannot teach, because he wanted to share his spiritual experiences with his gurus, Alar Kalam Uddha Karamaputta, who had left, then he was very frustrated. Nobody will understand. And other people, there are different modes of dharmas, different dhammas, you can say. And then everybody is, in his view, was dogmatic to such an extent that nobody is caring for his own dukha. So if I don't know about my own dukha, how can I talk of dukh nivritti for myself by myself? That was the difficulty. And they say that I can't share with anybody because nobody can understand, and they can never understand because it is sailing against the current, just against the current. Arya Pariyasana Sutta, and that is Patisotagami word used. And that I somehow, it struck me that I entire this book I rewrote. Now Arya Pariyasana Sutta and then the Dhammacakka Sutta. Patisotagami, and I use the common humanity and the name of the humanity or any individual, not in the name of any religion, so-called established religion. And so I framed a phrase, community of sufferer. I did not say that it's a Hindu or Muslim or Sikh or a Sai or Sanatana, or nothing like this. This is, there are sources. I'm not criticizing any God. I'm not criticizing any religion. It's my understanding. And this book was throughout the world circulated. But only one person caught this term. Arya Pariyasana Sutta में ये पटिशोतगामी भैया आपने किए, ये वो हमारे अंबिका जी हैं आपके सामने. And he was so encouraging, so enthusiastic. We very often we talk that, you see, going against the current means that suppose I have somebody, the contemporary today's case, that suppose somebody has a heart attack. Suppose here I have heart attack. Suppose, of course, he will take care of me. You will try to take me to the hospital. But once you have the car, you have the ambulance, everything, and you go to the road, and all around the hospitals are there, left or right, on that side, this side. But suppose on the road, a religious procession is going on, and whenever there is a procession, whether political or religious, and occupying both sides of the road, this is what happens. This means that you cannot reach a hospital despite the fact that you have all the means. Because the priority is this procession for the lakhs of people, but the priority is not for the individual who is dying. This is still happening today. And then said that he was so frustrated that I shall not teach my, simply because nobody else understands. Then what happened, that at one point of time when he was very frustrated, and he was sitting on the side of a pond somewhere, and he was very meditative, and he suddenly saw there are lots of lotus flowers full of, and then suddenly this very, very common experience, which did not strike earlier, but at that point of time he was very saddened, and he was frustrated so much that what to do, how to save the, or how to help the, or how to execute dukh nivritti. And then he said that, then he became suddenly happy for the simple reason that he saw that each lotus has its roots in the mud, in the muddy water, in the soil, muddy soil at that time. And then he realized that all sorts of roots or the branches which are coming out, they are not reaching to that level. So if suppose there are 100 lotus flowers and there are 1000 roots, etc., so this shows that, and this is the analogy which struck him, and then say that, okay, there are millions and billions, maybe human beings, but at the same time, there are very few ones who can understand, who can rise to that level, and that level means that enlightenment level, and they will only, these few people will take care of the entire humanity, and so on and so on and so on. So on. This is the starting of the Buddha. And this is the starting of the Buddha. Now what happens that throughout all this, you can know the parable of arrow. Parable of arrow, somebody is struck by some arrow, you can say struck by some prince, etc. outside there. So that one, and then the person is just struck in the chest and he falls down. But generally what happens if somebody is suffering, then nobody else comes to the rescue. But at that time, so many people were there. So many people were there. You know the case of Nirbhaya. It took 8 years' time to take the justice. And those who had the criminals, they were also given the facility of advocates on both sides. And even the Supreme Court up to, you can say, it took 8 months to deliver the justice. Now, this is the world actually for the Buddha, that it is actually that everybody is the agent actually of his or her own transformation, but it should start with some kind of vyaghat. उस तरह का reflection होना चाहिए. And then he said that no, humanity is not of the same level. And then he changed the gotra. Then he said that gotra. Then the hierarchy of humanity, he divided, he structured the humanity in five modes, you can say that. Aniyat, means that one is not sensitive, dead, means just not bothering about anything. Then the next one is that actually, exact spelling I have. Aniyat, Aniyat Gotra. And the second one is that someone is Aniyat, and how can I forget this one? That this is the something is unpredictable character. अगर इधर मान लीजिए सपा का आ जाए, बीएसपी का आ जाए, इधर जो बीजेपी का आ जाए, तो they change the position actually. And the third one is Shravaka Gotra. Shravaka Gotra वो सुनता है, that just hearing and then everything is gone. The fourth one is Pratek Buddha Gotra. That there is one taking advantage of all citizens and then disappears for nirvana, etc. And the fifth one is Bodhisattva Gotra. And Bodhisattva Gotra is that he is surrendering, not accepting, although qualified, not accepting the nirvana, the benefit of nirvana. And when you want to know in detail, you'll find in the literature everything. Today's topic is actually this one, but it is only this one when you have the entire background and you coming to that stage, because lots of things are there. Mādhyamika is in between. Mādhyamika is in between. Now, I am coming to the Buddha's policy matter actually. Buddha believed, so many people used to be very unsatisfied, very angry with the Buddha. And someone asked him, why are you speaking so many things and you are destroying the society, etc., misguiding, ye nahi hai, wo nahi hai, simple. And then he said, okay, we don't want to hear your preaching. We are just fed up. You simply summarize in 2 words. And then Buddha said, Vidya and Acharan. विमलेंद्र जी सही है, सुन रहे हैं? Vidya and Acharan. Vidya and Acharan. Knowledge and the conduct. Human conduct. So these 2 things are the actually. So I want to connect it to today's theme, that Vidya and Acharan. The next time somebody else question very harshly that you are doing this and that, you just let me know. Do you think that you are God? Isar? He said that no. If you are not Isar, at least you should be Asur, demon. He said that no. Are you this and that? No. And then said that, but it is sure that you are a human being. Buddha said that no, I'm not Manushya. I'm not even Manushya. Then he said that what you are. Then he said that I am Buddha. Buddha is actually an upadhi. And this shows actually, this is Buddha and then Buddhatva element, etc. And this Buddhatva or Buddha, actually, for example, it's very, for me, that I am speaking before all these scholars. Sorry, I was a little bit disturbed that great scholars will be here. All of them are known, but somehow maybe that. But I have accepted, confess that I am a stupid person. Don't worry, you need not say that. So this one is that is the way Professor Murthi has developed his book, and ultimately it becomes a network. Network. If emptiness is there, it's everywhere. If pratitya samutpati is, it is everywhere. It is absolute, so everywhere. And what not? So something like that. At this kind of structuring the idea, structuring the text, and coming to the conclusion. So anyway, I shall discuss this a little further. So this way. Now, Buddha's scheme was that I am not interested later on, although in karma theory he accepted that you have actually, your dukha is grounded in your behavior, earlier behavior, because the religion has to be established in some or the other way, of course, some or the other way, but that should be rational. And then this was that I wrote another article which is still in the course of development, and that is, and then you will find like this one, that Prakriti, this is Prakriti used by the Buddhists, Prakriti used by all systems, you can say, in some or the, even the leftist or communist will accept, materialist also will accept this one. Now in this one, he simply said that there is already an evolution in this world, in this cosmic world. But when the evolution is actually created, and then after birth, and in the process of growth, I becomes a kind of devolution. जैसे हमको पढ़ाया गया और हम बाहर जाके कोई चोरी डकैती कर रहे हैं इस तरह से, and I'm transforming myself in a very different way. So evolution is still innocent, or you can say that this is somehow a starting point, but the kind of civilizational values and virtues are missing, which is the topic, this one, that how to understand. And this way, he said that my task is, because the world has the devolution. Devolution means that whatever the evolution was given to us, the cosmic world has given, we have devolution means that we have destroyed or destroying. That is one point. Now he said that my teaching is on the evolution of the human conduct. I'm not caring for more, I'm not discussing that way, although many subsequent thinkers did that. So this way, you yes, sorry. This way, he said that evolution, and this evolution came through Vidya and Acharan. So in this one, in the two words, and that one that developed, and then the whole program are there. Now I have lots of things. Another thing is that what is the I try to write in an article that there is one article which is published, two articles published in Professor हमारे विमलेंद्र जी के किताब में है, almost 85 pages. The one title is the most problematic mind, meditation and deep structure of consciousness. Another article is selling against the current Buddha, Buddhism and methodology. Now, what is the starting point? Where to start? Because my policy is there, Buddha's policy was also there, that how to begin at the beginning. If you want to understand, suppose you are taking food, a delicious food, you are not going to the kitchen, you are not going to the farmhouse, etc., or farm. You don't start from there. You have the ready-made you are given. But the question is that even in that one, if you know that there is a process, there is some kind of point where you begin, to begin at the beginning. And to begin at the beginning, there is one, you can say verse, and that is called, you know, in Dhammapada, the Mano Pungabangama Dhamma, Mano Seta Manomaya. Mano Seta. Mano Pungabangama means the precede karta hai, that is the established mode of consciousness. And then Dhamma means the phenomena. Dhamma means not the teaching part, but it's a plural Dhamma, means the phenomena. It is the mind which is creative and it creates the entire phenomena. And this entire phenomena, you can say, is the plurality. But the mind does not know that it is creating deliberately or by nature, and the mind knows not like this one. So it is starting, and Mano Pubangam Dhanga Mano Setta Manomaya, because this is the controller also. But ignorance also. Manomaya. But all these contents are, you can say, of mental content. So a kind of, which I use the analogy, that kitchen model. Then in kitchen model, all sorts of elements are collected. You have an idea how to cook the food and what kind of food today to serve the guests. And that way, this is the idea first. But this idea is objectified in the kitchen actually. Idea to hoti hai mind ka. So this one, mind and physical body, they are integrated somehow. I mean, very short, I am going faster because in the next, whatever time I have, I am not able to, because if I go very fast, then I shall fail to make you understand. So I don't want to take the risk of this one. So if you have patience, you can listen to me, because this is a rare opportunity and the task is quite hard, very hard in this one. So mind says, this is the root of the foundation of starting. So what foundation is that? It is the mind. And if you go further, if you start with the sutra literature, Abhidhamma and Abhidharma, and then you can say Mādhyamika, etc. Professor Murthi's idea is that, you see, you must note, I have noted, that the centrality of ethics, and then the second part is a Mādhyamika philosophy. Is it right here? Exact? Maybe that I forget. The centrality of the central philosophy of Buddhism. But he takes the central philosophy, he is choosing Mādhyamika as the central philosophy of entire Buddhism, you can say that. This is the idea. But he was so convinced, and this is the task for you to understand through this book, and also to revisit, or because a lots of things have changed it. Now 67 years after that, this lecture is organized, and my scholars, they are much better, they know better, many people, they say. So there comes a time that lots of other things are there. Now, how to understand? Now, those sorts of background is there. No problem. Lots of background is there in this literature also. And so the Dhammacakkavartan Sutta is concerned, Paticca Samupad is the starting point actually so far as Yatha Bhut Yan Dassan. जैसी वस्तु है वैसा ही उसका ज्ञान, यही सत्य है, यही सत्य है और वही परमार्थ है. But at the same time, the phenomena, you see that this table has its own structure, a spatio-temporal structure, then it becomes samsara, you can say that, conventional, you can say that, very easily you can say that way. And you see, how is he dependent on the sutra literature, sutta literature, and then the abhidharma and all these things. So what happens that Paticca Samupad is everywhere, and Paticca Samupad gives rise to, or emptiness, or shunyata, sunyata is born from that. You know that Swabhav or Niswabhav appearing from that. And there are certain things that this system is such that the entire book is full of paradoxes. But this paradox is very interesting. So the different levels are there, truths are there, at least two are there, and this way, and then absolute word is also used, method Chatushkoti is also used, and Chatushkoti Vinirmukti is also there, and so much so that language is there, prapancha word, and then even Nirvana becomes absolute. Now it happens. Professor Murthi is very well aware of this one. But grand creative writer. But मेरा एक चश्मा काफी है मेरे लिए. एक चश्मे से बहुत कुछ देख सकते हैं. प्रोफेसर मूर्ति ने एक साथ 3 चश्मे पहने हैं अपनी किताब में. तीनों चश्मे को साइमल्टेनियसली यूज किया है. माध्यमिक is the target, goal. Terminology, methodology, Kant. And then the Vedanta. So brilliantly he has managed. He has managed. And this is the beauty. Despite that, he shows in his book differences among each other. But I should say that I have some difficulties to understand him because we 3 different directions में जा रहे हैं, उसमें जो है there are 3 modes of conceptual and categorical framework Because all the three are there. How does he manage? Whether he has succeeded in managing or not? The second one. The third, my difficulty is that whether we can, instead of seeing Mādhyamika through the lens of Kant and Vedanta, can it be possible that I see Kant and Vedanta through the lens of Mādhyamika? This is possible, and it will not hurt Murthi Sahab. Because he writes in the preface that my critics are welcome. It's not that he is an angry man or insulting, etc. So this one. So this way, you can say that what is in the process, that there is some kind of construction, dithi, and there is some kind of deconstruction, and then the reconstruction. Deconstruction means that all these on the ground of Pratitya Samutpad, emptiness is the actually emptiness is not the genuine term. People took it as a metaphysical substance, you can say, there's something like this one. But and that one, you can say, it is not something given. It's a something like the what kind of conceptual or mental fabrication or superimposition you have imposed. It's a something like this one. So this is a book. That is my approach. This is, I say that. Do you see this table? Suppose whole curtain is there. You don't see. So when I remove, suppose this part table is, I see only this one. Because I have put it over this one. And suppose I am gradually, I am getting slowly enlightened, my conceptual and mental interplay. So suppose I stop here. This one is Shunya because it has no ontological content. This one is Shunya because it has no prapanch or language or mental or mentation, all these things here. So this becomes a Shunya in one sense, this becomes in Shunya way in another way. So that is, but it was 25 साल पहले की बात कर रहे हैं जो हमारे दिमाग में, and very honestly I am speaking is this one. Now I am coming that how to understand it's a philosophical that all these three thinkers, that so far as Mādhyamika is concerned, or Sutta is concerned, or Abhidhamma or Abhidharma is concerned, or anything is concerned, it is three Lakshan theory is always working. Because Paticca Samuppada simply means that this is not a simple, चींटी का वो लाइनें linear movement नहीं है. That is not the linear movement. Multiple conditions are there, causes and conditions are there, and they go together. So how shall I understand? Suppose that you take the bread slice, or you take a river, flowing river, and then you cut it like this one, just sharply, that it becomes like a sheet without any special, or you can say that without any extension or thickness, etc. So this is there. If you cut, then you'll find that there are billions or millions of molecules, okay? And suddenly in the next slice, you'll find that that combination changes. So the conditions are there, simultaneous and suitable conditions are there. And that's why there is a flow, because they are pushed. There is some power inside through. It's not that suddenly it ends. There is an activity, but the conditions are changing. Or these conditions are changing because it is the nature, Prakriti. I don't know, but it is given. Let me start like this one, and then you will find that a new combination is coming, and that's it is a uniqueness, you can say, in temporal sense. It's an end. And that one is called in Buddhism, it is the process of philosophy, which I am going to read one passage, which I have written. That is the temporality. A space is out, in a sense, you can say, sideline, but time becomes temporality. That's chadi, but what? But in order to explain the शोर बहुत करते हैं, थोड़ा रुकाना चाहिए, कहीं और चले जाएं. आ जाइए. Now, we have, all of us know, all the Buddhists, they did it. Now this is this one. Another thing is that on the basis of Paticca Samuppada, ये हम थोड़ा सा गर्म वाला पी रहे हैं और गला से आराम हो जाते हो तो थोड़ा पानी और गर्म ले आइएगा. अभी ले आइए, 4-6 घंटे अभी बोलना है, आइए. So this one, that you see, try to see the Buddha, that he structured, you can say that a therapeutic method, you can say. दुख है, दुख का कारण है, दुख का जो की निवृत्ति है, और दुख के निवृत्ति के जो भी फॉर्मूला जो होगा, अष्टांग मार्ग एटसेट्रा सारी चीजें. तो but how does Nagarjuna and how does Prasanga method by Chandrakirti, because he is dependent on, Professor Murthi is dependent on the Karika, of course, dominantly, and also the, you can say, so far as I have, whatever little I have, that he has the Chandrakirti on this one. Because at that time in the Sanskrit literature was not available from the other schools, you can say that. हाँ, थोड़ा सा ऐसे ढक दीजिए, कोई बात नहीं. अच्छा, जी ले आइए इस समय, तो उसे आराम मिलता है बोलने के दाम पे. Now, what kind of conceptual frameworks? I use conceptual and categorical. It's not only conceptual, categories also the categorical framework. In that one, this is a process philosophy, and process philosophy is not in line with, on the same track, the Vedantic one. Vedantic one is a wonderful philosophy. Of course, it is much older, you can say, Veda, 2 Upanishads at least, Chandogya, and then anyway, it's a, but in that process you will find that this was the, always remember that something, some idea has just struck you, and then you try to solve this one. Everywhere. Now, this one Buddhism is process philosophy, and so far as the Kantian is concerned, Kantian is concerned, it's a critical philosophy following the जो उसमें जो I mean that is the revolution, Copernican revolution. Now Copernican revolution is an experimental, that the sun is moving around or earth is moving around. Generally common man, all of us in religion, etc. In Indian system they knew on the basis of their Sanatana Dharma is actually, if I read, then you find that this is based on scientific, this one. That one is perhaps a belief system, but anyway, he was experimenting, and then he come to the conclusion that it is the earth which is going around, okay? I know only this one, so forgive me, not much than that. Now, Copernican revolution was formulated this kind of phrase by somebody. Kant said that my philosophy is also Copernican revolution. Professor Murthi also said that my writing is also Copernican revolution. It's very interesting, very interesting. You catch this one. So this one. For my difficulty is that how does the 3 Copernican revolutions? There are many. Just like that, the central conception of Dhamma, etc. suppose Sharvasi, exact title I forget, and then you can say Professor Murthi, central, and the central where is the Mādhyamika. Mādhyamika becomes the central. Then Kalupana, centrality becomes causality. And then in my case, centrality becomes ethics. So all of us are justified. If I say the centrality of ethics in Buddhism, this is a purpose, because I, according to my perspective, it becomes a dominating idea. And then I'm developing this idea, this one. So is this way, then because the problem, what is the problem? I also read this one. I still reading, and in short time I have written, and lots of weaknesses are there, and nothing. And my friends know that today I am speaking without preparation in such a short time. But anyway, I was touching with this one. That Copernican revolution. What is the Copernican revolution in Mādhyamika? Which is not in the Buddha, in the Sutta. It is not in the Vidhamma or a Vidharma or Yogachar or Satrantik, etc. All these are the, but the way he has, because he has taken, when you are cooking, you don't have, if ऐसा नहीं कि हमारे पास 2 किलो सब्जी पका रहे हैं तो 2 किलो नमक भी उसी में डाल दें, ऐसा होता है कभी? मसाला 50 है तो 50 डाल दें, ऐसा कभी होता है खाना? आप जो है, you have the technique, what is the requirement? And this is the creative writing. Okay, I did that. Why are you not writing? Because lots of options are also there in Professor Murthy's book. And I am ready to say that. I can say that, why can I not see through the lens of Mādhyamika the two others, Vedanta or Kant? It's possible. It's possible. And all of them are together. They are synthesized. Or what kind of, lots of things are there. So you have to catch them. Okay? So all these things are there. Now I am coming to the terminology. The two very important. I cannot explain it in detail. The two is Advait and Advait. अम्बिका जी, आपको तो ज्यादा अच्छी तरह कह सकते हैं, लेकिन मैं शॉर्ट में जो जानते आनंद जी हैं, ये है, ये सब लोग जानते हैं, ये सब अपने ही मित्र विद्वान हैं. How to understand? You understand later. There is some idea there. Okay. Now, there is an element, I shall come to all these technical terms with the karikas, just to have the authentic support for my lecture and for your understanding. Dharmata and Dharmakaya, towards the end. That there is an essence in Vedanta, there is an essence, and that is consciousness, Brahman consciousness, Atman consciousness, and everything, even the world is the product of consciousness. Maybe that this plurality, from one point of view, is actually just a phenomena which can be removed or deconstructed in order to know the foundational essence here. This one is there. But if I say that Vedantic essence can be equated with the Dharmata or Dharmakaya or not, because the universal, metaphysically, whether they are the so kind of. आप जो है एक के बारे में कहते हैं कि सारे के बारे में कहते हैं? अगर सारे के बारे में करते हैं, that is the intrinsic innate essence in all. एक ही मिट्टी से सब पैदा हुए हैं, कारीगरा. और if I have the Buddhatva separately, but how to make it universal. That is one thing, that you transform your not only vidya but acharan. Vidya, of course, that you know that yatha bhutayana dasan, and if this is fluxional, then how will you do that? I'm reading this one, that this is the problem, that dharmata, essence, buddhatva, in you, in me, how to tableness इन न्याय के अनुसार वो सेट नहीं बैठता है। वेदांत में फिर भी कुछ बैठ सकता है। एंड दिस वन, नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज दैट whether it is the common or the separate one, universal or particulars. But Buddhism maintains some relations are there, and Paticca Samuppada is a relational origination, because there is a dependent arising, multiple factors are there, and they are actually coordinating to give rise to which is not ontologically or supremely or ultimately one, actually. So quite difficult to understand, and that's why here, to understand this Patisotgami tendency, it's very difficult. And I'm crying for all these things, because how to understand this one? Professor Murthi is helping me, but at the same time, it was published 67 years back. But now this is the time that his students come forward honestly to write. This is the idea actually. Now process philosophy, what it means? A few lines I am reading. The birth of Buddhism lies in the Buddha's awakening, consisting in the intuitive realization of the universal principle of dependent co-arising. ये universal principle हो गया, तो universal कहने से क्या होता है कि एक एसेंस हो गया, ये प्रॉपर्टी, ये चीज है. This is dependently arising. So does it mean that I am on this table can be equated with me? Question है. That Paticca Samuppada universal principle है, it applies everywhere. But टुकड़े टुकड़े में जा रहा है कि कैसे जा रहा है, ये चीज देखना है. Which defines a process view of reality, both physical and mental go together. What is physical? If this table is physical, that it has but I am also physical, my mind is also physical. Because mind is also in flux, my body is also in flux. The physical and mental both. But the physical, I understand this one, but the same law is here. So three Lakshana theory, you know that, Anityata, Anatmata and Dukkta, you know already. You know. According to it, and that's why this Paticca Samuppada, two levels. At what level Professor Murthi is talking about? That if you are taking in this one, and then the mental imposition is also dependent arising, which you are talking about. कौन सी किस पटिच्च समुत्पाद की बात करते हैं आप? लेकिन उसमें है, you can find it out. But confusion after reading, a weak understanding, suppose in my case, that is, according to it, a thing is not a static but a dynamic entity, which means it is a process of temporally ordered occurrences of events. I have tried to explain this one. It is a self-organized system of condition. एक किसी ने ऑर्गेनाइज नहीं किया है. आप समझ सकते हैं कि बहुत से रिलीजियस जो पोजिशंस है वो कर रहे हैं, काम कर रहे हैं. So organized system, self, it's intrinsic actually in the system. But this one is organized system of coordinated causal relation बिटवीन दीज इवेंट्स, यहां शून्यता कहां से लाएंगे आप? कैसे शून्यता दिखाएंगे? इसलिए जो स्वभाव का कॉन्टेक्स्ट है, दैट इज द स्वभाव, यू कांट से दैट नि स्वभाव। तो प्रोफेसर मूर्ति इज यूजिंग, अगर जो है शून्यता यूज कर रहे हैं तो आपके डिपेंडेंट राइजिंग के किस वाले पर कर रहे हैं? जो ऑन्टोलॉजिकल वाला करेक्टर है वो, या जो मेंटल वाला करेक्टर है वो? ये तो नहीं मिटाया जा सकता, क्योंकि ये चीज में इस चीज में उसको डिफरेंस करते हैं माइन्यूटली। In many cases, I understand that he is competing his time, but in so many other ways, I can say that there are some progress, and we can say it sets becoming fluxional view, becoming against the invariable being, and event ontology against substance ontology, anatman. Substance, anatman केवल soul से नहीं मतलब है। In process philosophy, time is temporality, वो time नहीं है। काल पचति भूतानि काल संघरते प्रजा, जो है वो नहीं है कि काल बैठा है वो खा जाएगा, उसका अलग है, उसका एक मेटाफर, उसका यूज किया है सारी चीजें। इन प्रोसेस फिलॉसफी टाइम इज टेम्पोरलिटी इंट्रिंसिक टू द सक्सेसिव ऑकरेंसेस, उसी में फ्लो करता है, टाइम अलग से नहीं है, वो कैरेक्टर है, उसका गुण है, उसकी चीज है, एक तरह से कह सकते हैं कि वो क्वालिटी है, उसका कैरेक्टर है, उसका एसेंस कहाँ से लगाएं? जिस एसेंस को एसेंसलेस कहा गया है, स्वभाव है तो निस्वभावता कहां से आ गया? ये चीज देखना पड़ेगा कि डिफरेंट कंटेक्स्ट में डिफरेंट टर्मिनोलॉजी यूज हो रही है। Which character the passage of time as asymmetry and transitive. In Buddhism, it's a process philosophy presents an adequate account of a wide range of issues concerning ontology, epistemology, ethics and philosophy of mind. सब जगह वही लगे। ओ पटिशोतगामी applies to everything, everything. This is, but this commonness does not lead to common essence ontologically or metaphysically. And because of this metaphysical, that later on when I read this, when I come to language, then it becomes the meta language also. What is meta? And that's why many thinkers, I have come to know, a brief, I am not sure, these two professors will tell us that nihilism is actually absolute. केसीवी जी ने कहा था क्या? Did he maintain this position? Which is not my field, I am imagining. It is combined with the phenomenologically informed perspective. The present article, all these things have developed itself within this framework. It must be noted here that Buddhism is primarily interested in the analysis of first person experience. This is your task, that you try to understand, you analyze it, etc. So at many points you will find, say, there is a duality, there is a paradox in negative or use. बुद्ध जो है, जो अव्याकृत पण्य, अव्याकृत प्रश्न. What is the meaning of अव्याकृत? Indecision. But this is not accepted by most of the scholars. Jaitilke is not accepted. Because in certain way it is not, and these were 14 or 10, at least you take, where you have 4 modes of expression, 2 primary, asti, nasti, etc., and then the combination, and then the separation, the negative, etc. But some reasons are, Potthapada Sutta, if I read, Potthapada Sutta is already mentioned. And he was not a simple thinker. But different thinkers come to different conclusions. Different conclusions. If I have to write, then I have to श्रद्धा तो है, लेकिन श्रद्धा में उसको जस्टिफाई करना या उसको एक इंटरप्रिटेशन, एंड दैट्स व्हाई द टू two modes of arguments, that semantics regarding meaning. Now first you understand the meaning, and then hermeneutics, then you interpret it. How do you understand? ये understanding में there is my idea is that somehow, though I'm not very sure, that Madhyamik comes to the Dithi Rag. There are Raga, Kam, there are four modes. One of them is Dithi Rag, the most dangerous. If I have some kind of desire that money is there, job is there, family should be there, and all not, or what not. There is one which is most binding, Raga, Dosh, Moh. And that actually, that Raga, Dosh, Moh, and Dithi Rag, and then the Buddha said, and that's why he said that the Dithi Rag is based on, Dithi Rag is based on the Moh actually. This is means that it has the phenomenological character, or you can say that a kind of phenomena, some kind of emotional phenomena, part of phenomena. And that way, that then later on somewhere, exactly, I have the reference, but not, I can't quote, that Dithi Rag is converted, Dithi, for example, ideological. Ideological, communist will see anything like this one. Or BJP has a different ideology. Which one is wrong or right? I'm not saying. All of them have their ideas to serve the public, etc. But the conduct factor is very important. Or BSV there, or anyone. See Zelensky and Putin. It's just the Dithi Rag, and that Dithi Rag has been converted into Dithi also, intoxicant. Attachment तो हो गया, लेकिन इतना शराब पी लिया दिठी आसो कि कुछ भी तोड़ फोड़ कर सकते हैं. तो this one Dithi Rag, Madhyamik is emerging from that one somehow, Dithi आसो और Dithi जो, इसलिए प्रमाण को भी दिठी माना और उसमें सर्वदृष्टि शून्यता और प्रहाण आदि को भी कर डाला, कहा कि हमारा पोजीशन नहीं है. बट ऐसा नहीं कि उनका पोजीशन नहीं है. He has a position, but that position is not something you can say that this is the problem, because there is, you can't say that there, throughout, you can't say that sarvadrishti shunyata, but this shunyata, it has not been developed in a sense. That's why emptiness of emptiness is also required in that case. But to catch that one, that what kind of position, philosophical position he has, whether this can be considered as a dithi or drishti or dithyasa or not. This is also a very important issue, you can say that. Now I am, you see, why now you see, my basic question is that if I read that pre-Murti, contemporary Murti, and the post-Murti, if you take the three developments, you will be very happy. That before that, how did Bernhoff declared his nihilism? And that is right. कहाँ मिला अभी तक? जरूर पिएंगे उसे, लेक्चर के समय चाय पीना बहुत जो है, मुंह बोलने की जगह में मुंह जल जाए. नहीं, वो भूल जाता. ऐसा होता है कि बोलते समय बहुत सी जो बम्बार्डिंग होती है आइडिया की, वो मिस कट गया तो गड़ गए. So kind of you up. He is my friend for long time, and he takes care of my problem. You are dukh nivritti for me. बहुत सी चीजें कही जाती हैं sometimes, but I don't know. It takes lots of time. Anyway, so this one, that how ये धर्मता and धर्मकाय, where do you locate all these things in the Sutta literature? But the way he is there, because Hinayan to Mahayan, the shift is that Hinayan और Mahayan के जो असंग ने Hinayan कहा और बाकी Mahayan का difference is something like this one. If he was a one who invented this technology, but that is not acceptable to everybody. So this way is that Hinayan Mahayan. Now, if you understand, if you take the, now let us come to the text. Now, this text has 27 chapters. And in 27 chapters, there are 448 karikas. And then, then Chandrakirti's commentary, other commentary at that time were not available. If I have got what the impression I have got from this one. And in this one, this Professor Murthi is based on Karika, but also using the methodology of Chandrakirti. And between the two, at many places, here I can't show you, and my study is very, very limited, very limited. And this kind of, I mean, text, if I use both the text together, plus the two more, that here I am taking that Nagarjuna's text, that itself a big text, very enigmatic, asan nahi itna. For me and for many. I am not the only one who is confessing, for everybody. Not for everybody, for most of them. And then, so this one is that, now if you take, Nagarjuna starts with some kind of vandana, and that vandana is actually first, I mean this one, and then in vandana also doctrinal. Buddhists have a very different, because if prayer is there, then all these things are cited. And this, it starts with 8 modes of causality, and all of them are negated. So negation, what is this? And just before that, if you order all these things, if you take the 2 karikas, which is not listed in other edition as a part of the mainstream, that is taken as bandhana. So if you take that one, that 8 negative, you can say concepts or theories, you can say that not. So this one, another thing is that if negation is the starting when the prayer itself, if pratitya samutpad is also there in the, and if I meet that this is actually like this, if I assign a particular meaning, semantics, and then interpretation, then we are interested to know how, where, which we have missed Professor Murthy's presentation. He is very intelligent, and time he has devoted. He was very deep in Sanskrit literature. He was Acharya, etc., etc. So I actually not doubt, but my incapacity perhaps understand, so far as I understand for myself. Now, it is not only that Sutta, etc., Abhidham, because Abhidham was a revolution in the Dham. The kind of Dhamma, I mean, after Sutta, you know that the Abhidhammas were a scholasticism. Scholasticism, it organized argumentatively, whereas that one, the size was perhaps this one. But you see, if you see Abhidharma in the Vasubandhu, and then much after that, you see, only in the last century, he was born and he died. Now, in between, if I bring, this itself is a big problem for me, that Karika and the Prasannapada. Suppose Bhav Vivek
थोड़ी
और
देर में
बुद्धपाद,
डॉक्टर जी के पास जाके है वो बुलाना पता नहीं लंच के बाद
क्या हुआ? Let me complete because this is, I have enough time. I have been tasked. अरे इन्होंने पूछना है, किसी को पूछना? अच्छा बाहर से, अच्छा ठीक है, यहाँ पे. Anyway, so अगर आप चाहते हैं, if I want to re-establish Professor Murthy's book or ideas or philosophy, then I am taking all those elements that here, and another thing is there that Professor Murthy starts with the 8 negations and quoting in the next one and put together as the part of the Vandana, and this Vandana is to the Buddha, and then in the same continuation, he is, so far the Chandrakirti is concerned, his Vandana and Chandrakirti's Vandana. Karunaya paravodhartham shastra pranayanam. That is the strategy. Out of compassion to enlighten others, I am writing this text. कितना कंट्रास्ट है, एक जगह निगेशन थ्रू एक जगह रहता है, लेकिन उसका पर्पस है. See, it's not that suddenly, because many times I also commit mistake, is suddenly I try to jump from negative to positivity. But at the same time, Professor Murthy's merit is that he is also bringing in Kant, and he is also bringing Vedanta together, putting the two together, talking of differences, also talking of synthesis perhaps. So you can see that a very vast problem, you can say that. Kanunaya parabodhartham shastra pranayam, that is one line. Hetu pratyay apeksho bhava nam utpada pratiti samutpada. Hetu pratyay apeksh. नेक्स्ट लाइन है तत् तत् प्राप्य यद यद उत्पन्नम नोत्पन्नम तत् स्वभावतः. उस स्वभाव के रूप में नहीं पढ़ सकता. व्हाट इज द आर्गुमेंट? इस स्वभाव उसमें नहीं है. देयर इज नॉट. एंड बिफोर दैट हेतु एंड प्रत्यय, two terms are very important. I am telling you, these are very different. Hetu means that the ontological part, I understand. If I forget, because I try to understand that one, that hetu is actually causal, inbuilt, intrinsic, which is going on inside. So pratitya samutpad has inbuilt or intrinsic ontological process, you can say that. So far as pratyay is concerned, pratyay becomes the extra conditions which are not. For example, suppose you have some pieces of some wooden pieces, and then you have all sorts of things, and then you have the matches. Okay, matches. Now all the conditions are fulfilled. Now the question is that whether ontologically this essence is in the wooden pieces or in the matches or not. Because the matches, the wooden piece also, that also, whether a kerosene oil or petrol, etc. Whether that essence can be, how can we deny that on the basis of universal law of dependent arising, that is nisubha or swabhavless, etc. So my understanding is that hetu and pratyay, there is a difference. There are supporting conditions. For example, I keep all these things on the on the floor, and then I said this. So this one, that one is ontal. This is the swabhav. अगर ऐसा स्वभाव इसमें नहीं है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल when you have phenomena before you, because in the phenomena you are without capacity entering into that system which you cannot do unless yatha bhutyan darshan is achieved, that one. And once it is achieved, things change. Even then, there is no impact, there is no influence on the nature of the reality as a whole. Now you bring in Kant and Vedant. वेदांत की क्या सिद्धांत है कि अध्यारोप अपवाद, एक और उसको थोड़ा सा एक दो लेटर और है इसमें, अपवाद, अध्यास, आरोप, अध्यास काइंड ऑफ फेनोमेनल, आरोप उसका इम्पोजिशन, और उसमें जो है आपको उसका अपवाद कर रहे हैं. I am not touching the reality because the mind is entering into that affairs. I am imposing, and it's the mind's understanding. But the same mind, penetrative activity is there to understand in the deeper level of, because two levels, surface level and a deeper level, you know that. The super level, agyan, and deeper level, you can say the agyan. But then after that, you enter into actually into the value system, you can say. Value. And this part, actually, I am, lots of other things are there, but I have to read some important things. I could not understand the methodology a few years back. Then I had to write a big article, almost 28 pages, and Buddhist methodology, because we had to teach our students. And if I don't understand, then how can I, as a matter of how can I teach the students? So I'm reading that one. But before that, I'm coming the very, very, you can say, the most key word you can say, and that is prapanch. Prapanch word is very important, I'm telling you, because it is related to mind, its language, and its theories, etc. So this one, I little bit, I'm reading. I'm reading, and then you see, ये क्या है, कैसे चलता है? This is. Now, Mādhyamika methodology, two truths of methodology you have, I have, but Buddhist hermeneutic principles. So I am reading the title, and then I'm not sure whether it can be possible. So the meaning and methods of philosophy, and then I have, it's a quite long one, Buddhist hermeneutic principle, philological principles, and different other principles. I have Buddha's methodical silence, and then general concepts of conceptual Buddhism, impersonal nature of man, method of mereological reductionism, that is also there. Mereological method to understand, which cannot be applied to Vedanta. But in what way that has been used? Mādhyamika methodology is a method of tetralemma, you know. That method is done to deliver emptiness, you can say, the silence, you can say, silence upsham, prapancha upsham. This one. And prasanga method of Chandrakirti, and you know. And then the Vasubandhu's hermeneutic and synthetic method. And if you want to go beyond, then Shantarakshiti is also there. He is a better one to integrate Madhyamik and Yogachar. So there are so many. Now there is something that there is a writing that how does all these things take place? For example, you go to a hotel or go to the market to buy some dress, etc. And everybody, I don't in the hotel, they have a big list of menu, you can say. And then the buyer will come and will say, what you will eat, what you will eat. We go, okay. After 10 minutes, you come back. Then 5 or 6 or 8 people give their own choice. Chapati, 10 variety, sabji, 20, drink, more than that, and what not. And there are 500 lists. It's so confusing. It's so confusing. And then they have their own choice. Likewise, I'm so certain that this choosing, choices, your own choice, that is your choice. It's a Professor Murthi's choice to write this one. And that line is that yad yad yasya priyam purvam. जैसे जैसे जिसको पहले अच्छा लगता था तत तत तस समाचरे वैसा वैसा ही वो आचरण करता है. This is the line. And there is this on this line, the title exactly, that you choose, because all these things, the whole thing appeals to me. All these things appeal to me. See, this is your choice. Buddha was your choice that I don't want to be the prince or a emperor, but I want a dukh nivriti. There are so many problems. Who cares for the dukh nivriti? जेलेंसी और पुतिन कर रहे हैं, दो तो वर्ल्ड वॉर हो गया. और यहां से सो दिस वे यू है यद यद यस्य प्रियम तत् समाचारे. अब नाउ आई एम कमिंग द लास्ट पॉइंट बिकॉज आई हैव towards the end, on the end. Now, what is that? I have this one. Whatever I have, that starts with the understanding the mind. I mean, the mind by itself, self-realization. Nobody corrects. Nobody corrects. If I hear something like that, or my reflection, I correct myself. I commit mistakes and I correct that mistake. हमने पैदा किया है, सृष्टि की है. Now I can, since this is the role of meditation or the role of the mind, which creates a phenomena which is ontologically empty, that is imposed, and the way I look at the things, that's it. And the self-correction is there. And there is a methodology. In that methodology, this. So if you come to that, what are the values? How can values be established? How can you establish vision? If I understand that it is nisvabhav, if I understand that this is empty, if I understand that this is no continuous essence, so like that, all those sorts of this kind of nihilism. So these are so far, all these are actually the focused on the task of elimination of human predicament or suffering, and it is general, you can say common humanity. This is it. So this one, what I have done, that formula, what is the formula? Jhan formula. The Jhan formula, before that, there is a Sati Patthana Sutta, and there are so many attached suttas are there. That mindfulness, this is the English, it is given by Rhys Davids, 200 years back, of course. Exact, I don't know. That this kind of, actually, this kind of a starting point, you are alerted. If you see in the dark night, in the dark street, you are walking through and you see a snake. You see for yourself. And of course, you will not be friendly with the snake. I love a snake. ऐसा तो नहीं कर सकते. then certainly you will run away. हम तो भाग जाएंगे, हम नहीं रुकेंगे, हमको snake से बहुत प्यार नहीं है, I shall run away. You run away, and then you don't share with anybody. You say, never. At least in the dark night, I shall not go through this one. Rather, I shall inform others not to go. I suggest not to go in the night. Suppose you share with your friend and you come with a torch and danda, stick, and then you come and then you flash the light on the object, and that object appears to be, this is the second consecutive your experience, just immediately one and then two, your own. So it's a perception is there, and you know that you saw it for yourself by yourself. And then suppose you see a snake, it's okay. But suppose you see it as a rope second time under the light. When you see the light, then what will you do? You will pick up the rope and throw it. या घर ले जाएंगे, काम आएगा, फिर कोई बात नहीं, ऐसा ही होगा. But the matter ends there. Simply that is तो भ्रम था, later it comes to an end. Up down. Okay? No डर. डर पहले था, no more. And then you relax. Millions and billions of people simply solve this problem. Suppose in meditative mood, why did I got feared? Who is responsible for this? To create this kind of error, cognitive error. Is it the character of the snake to appear as a snake everywhere? Or is it the character of the snake to appear as a rope? Who is responsible, sir? If in the second case, if a snake is an object and it can change its objective appearance as a snake and rope, then you can never know, you cannot never acquire objective knowledge. कभी possible नहीं है if the object itself is changing its own characteristic, essential characteristic. When you analyze, then you find that no, objects don't change. Then who is responsible? It is my mind is responsible. My cognitive system is responsible. And then you become a very different person. Then you know that there is a something. Truth है. अगर परमार्थ है और समृद्धि भी है या संसार है, निर्माण संसार है, it's okay. But even in the sansar is it truth at one level and nirvana at another level, but that nirvana is grounded in the samriti level. But in the samriti also there is a duality, tathya samriti and mithya samriti. So now you can understand, if you deal, now you will, agar hum kisi ko, I am going to the hospital who is my friend or relative, that he is or she is suffering from cancer. Okay, thank hey Bhagwan, Buddha, आप इनको दया कीजिए. And then I come back, give lots of best wishes, good wishes. But suppose I am suffering from cancer. This is a very different kind of understanding throughout. And this is how this book is trying to solve that problem. That is how I understand. But there are lots of these. Now in this one, the formulation, the Buddha formulation, the root is that, the root foundation, the problematic, you can say, it is raga, dosh, moha, etc. Now raga is when my eye open and I see there is a good chair or the food is here, which is beyond me, independent of itself, independent of me, and then I see and then I react about taste, etc. Some other comment, calm is there, some desire is there, tanha is there, or trishna is there. So that way. And then you find that if I want, the very starting point, if you are struck by Sanghat, if you are struck by this idea, then you will, of course, but the starting point is very common, very, very common. Dukh nivriti, dukh nivriti is very common that time. But once you enter into, and then in 2600 years time, that still is there. The Prakriti is there, the constitution is there. But at the same time, lots of other bombarding Ditthirag is imposing. So this formula is very, I mean, that opened my eyes. That Ditthirag, that one is that you feel the direct contact, you break the contact, close your eyes. Okay? You have closed your eyes, but at the same time, the impression, the image it created, the idea it created, it is not going anywhere. Okay? You can remove me from here, get out. I shall get out. But my lecture you will never forget, at least for few years. ऐसा नहीं कर सकते, भूल गए तो गए, ले गए सब कुछ, ऐसा नहीं कर सकते. I shall also not forget this gathering or this attendance. So this is that one is it. What is ontological outside and going towards, now I am towards inside, and that inside is called, the technical term is vitakka. वितर्क का मतलब यह है कि जो इमेज आया वो इतना चिपक के इतनी वासना के रूप में आ गया, टर्मिनोलॉजी लिखते हैं सारी, इसलिए वितर्क. एंड दैट वितर्क इज फर्दर एनालाइज्ड, and that further analyzed, and then it becomes vitarka, actually vitarka, and then vichar, reflective. When you have the reflective, then you will find that it is empty. It will not go there, it will there in your mind, but you don't give any value to that one, actually. So detachment is solved like that, and this formula was not there earlier so far as my information, my research is concerned. And then if you are employed, then it is piti. थोड़ा सा उसमें पीति मतलब कोई कंफर्टेबल ये चीज हो, थोड़ा सा अटैचमेंट, सॉरी ये चीज लगे कि पीति है, कि शांति है, थोड़ा सा हैप्पीनेस नहीं आ जाती है, रिलैक्स, and then it is sukh, etc. So technical terms are there, I am not explaining. But at the same time, ekagata is actually there. But this is not, this ekagata is for all time, or this not is a solution. Then at least you have done the preparatory role. They have played a test de diya aapko. And then you go further and further and further with the passage of time, and then you overcome your cheez. Even then, it's not so easy. And only then, if you are to such an extent that you become Bodhisattva. Because last one is Buddha or Siddhartha was now had become Buddha, the Bodhisattva, and he stops there at the last stage, not entering into the room, not entering into that domain. That's it. And that way, now, what is altruistic? Altruistic, actually, there is in the line now, ahankarodbhava skandha. Ahankarodbhava skandha, egoism, extreme kind of egoism. That, and then the yogacharyas, etc., all of them, they have divided into eight vijnanas. Lots of things are the technical terms. So a structure creates ego. Ego creates, but the ego delimits your ethical behavior. तो चित्त शुद्धि जो करना है, जो बोधिचर्या अवतार में चित्त शुद्धि and chittanushangsa, etc., parmarth or self and other relations. So ethics is actually, it is, I am a very honest person. How do you know? How can you say? Unless there is an interpersonal relation. You came out of yourself. Came out of yourself does not necessarily mean in the Vedantic or Buddhist. You have at least, you have, without going into the nature of the essence or permanence of ethics. So you come out of yourself, because this is shunyata karuna garbham. एक जगह लाइन है शून्यता गर्भ में कि ये दोनों both are inbuilt inside you. So Shunyata Karuna Garbham. Because this theory is, and with the justification we should give, that this Shunyata and all these backgrounds with the emptiness, that because emptiness, you have seen that your raga, dosh, moh, these three root motivating causes are finished. And in that one, this is. So this is I have tried to the last one towards the last one, that is the Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva, I have selected 5 or 6. 6 is this one, that at one place I have, he says, how does he, the 5 woes, जो प्रतिज्ञा जिसको कहते हैं, कमिटमेंट कहते हैं, जो कसम खाते हैं, उस तरह की चीजें हैं. तो उसमें है द बोधिसत्व वाज वोज, प्रतिज्ञा करते हैं हमारे कैरेक्टर का कितना एथिक्स का है. All of us have the tendency of going, tendency in some or the other context, that myself goes out of myself to the sufferer, to the sufferer. So शून्यता करुणा गर्भ में जो करुणा का एक एसेंस है उसमें. Suddenly if somebody falls, everybody, without caring for my own friend or not, etc., suddenly one moves, actually becomes actually some kind of tendency. It's very much inbuilt inside. I said that compassion comes out. This is so bodhisattvas was, as long as, then he said that extreme kind of ethics. We in part, we of course we show our behavior in that one, but this is that as long as a space abides and as long as the world abides, जब तक ये हैं और जब तक मैं हूं, so long may I abide, तब तक मैं रहूंगा. बोधिसत्व समथिंग लाइक, तब तक मैं रहूंगा, जब तक काल है या जब तक संसार है या आकाश है या सब है, या I abide, destroying the sufferings of the world at any cost throughout my life. Maybe the life is very long, I don't know, but this kind of. The second one is that, second one, क्या करें? Coming to close, I know that everybody, with the good acquired by doing all this, as described, many alas suffering of every living. So this way he has, actually I am not reading, you can. Now I am coming to a little bit Paramita, and I have, whatever I have done, I have started working. Right, I start every time I start, because every thinker has started from the Sutta and there. So if I go to all the Karikas, I have suppose 25 or 30, and this Prapanch, before that I said I think Prapanch is very important to I am so simply, I am so, क्या कहा जाए, कहाँ गया वो, क्षमा करेंगे हेड साहब, आपने ही बुलाया है. आपने ही मुसीबत लिया है, तो हम क्या करें, है जी. नहीं, थोड़ा सा समय है, सही कर लेंगे. थोड़ा सा लास्ट में जो आपका है ना, ये तो हमारा पर्पस ये है कि यहाँ से होते हुए फिर आपके जो थीम है ना उस पर आ जाए, और इट्स वेरी क्लोज. 2-3 स्टेशन और है. तो इस ये चीज है कि यार इतने मटेरियल से जहां तहां से हो गए हैं कि कई बार जो है डिफिकल्टी होती है उसको सजाने में. और हाँ, नागार्जुन लैंग्वेज एंड देन Paramita etc. I am not discussing. maybe that in brief, I have that different modes of human behavior and the limits also. This is, please, very important. Shunyata, who is Shunyata? Shunyata is mind se Shunyata. Shunyata is concept se Shunyata. Shunyata is the language, Shunyata of language. And that's why many people, they talk of meta language. क्या इतना कम है क्या कि उसका जो प्रपंच शून्यता कह दिए, and then I am going against, what am I doing? So this one, Nagarjuna language, that is prapanch, the title is prapanch. What is the role of meta language? ये तो language ठीक है, प्रपंच is प्रपंच, all sorts of things. What is that? Gradually, it's just 1.5 or maybe maximum 2 pages. 14 size font है. तो इसमें है कि अपर प्रत्ययम शांतम प्रपंचैर अप्रपंचितम निर्विकल्पम अनानार्थम एतत् तत्वस्य लक्षणम. The translation I have taken from this one. Not dependent on anything other than itself, at peace, not manifested as named, beyond thought construction, not of varying from, not varying form. Thus, the way things are really spoken of. Now, Chandrakirti. प्रपंचो ही वाक. प्रपंच क्या है? वाक है, वर्ड है, सेंटेंस है, जो एक्सप्रेस बोलते हैं, जो संकेत हैं, सिंबल्स हैं, आप जो कह लीजिए. प्रपंच यति अर्थान इति कृत्वा, एक अर्थ को क्रिएट कर करके प्रपंच हो जाए, वही सब वो करता है, सब्जेक्ट और ऑब्जेक्ट दोनों क्रिएट करता है. सो बाय द लैंग्वेज पार्ट, इफ आई अंडरस्टूड. प्रपंच would be a language hypostatizing the meaning of the word. Because whatever meaning you accept or create, that has the nature of hypostatizing in the objective form of the object. The object which was limited to the language, okay, or the word which is intentional, hypostatizing. So one day I remember, it was 5 o'clock in the morning, my friend came to my flat. He said, Prasad, I'm very disturbed. I mean, really, the whole night. क्या हुआ? तो माता जी उनकी मर गई थी, तो उन्होंने कहा कि 30 साल पहले, पिता के पहले ही अभी जिंदा थे, उन्होंने कहा कि आज हमने सपना देखा है कि मेरी माँ जो है, माय मदर हैज अपीयर्ड इन माय ड्रीम एंड शी इज टॉकिंग angrily to my father. Why are you here? Now for 30 years you have not talked to me, you have not lived with me, but today you have to I shall go with you only. Now I am determined to take you. And then the dream was finished. And then he came to, तुम बताओ, तुम तो philosophy पढ़ते हो, अब हमको किस तरह उसको psychologically पढ़ा है. He was not satisfied, never, but somehow I said that no, although his father died 10 years later, because 10 years later at the age of 85 or so and so. So this kind of hypostatization, okay, hypostatizing, meaning of the word, which thanks to that would become the object. ये तो हम उसको एक कृपा कर रहे हैं, right? This is the object. But ignorance factor बहुत important है, and mind is very. independently existing beings, therefore possessing their own nature, swabhav. Referential theory, non-differential theory, and correspondence theory of truth. There are three, you can say, theories are created. How will you characterize? It's a referential theory, non-differential theory, or correspondence theory of truth. Correspondence theory of truth goes with inferential one. In relation to the linguistic interpretation of Mādhyamika, which indicates that a fundamental subject of that school was criticism of referential theory of meaning, a question arises: if there was a category inside that system which meant a process relating to a formation, referential, etc., etc. I am not reading. So hypostatizing, reification, objectification, these are the terms. If your word, the meaning contains not mere semantic idea, and then you add to it or you take it as a given external object. That is the referential theory. Is also there. So I am not reading everything, and that's why the last towards the last it's there. Finish almost with it. I'm reading this translation, Chandrakirti's quotation from Ratnavali, and he tries to save Ratnakirti's. Nagarjuna is saving himself. How to get the relief? And then in his Ratnavali, he says, I'm not reading the Sanskrit part. Even as the grammarian would teach language, even so Buddha taught the truth according to the capacity of those who were to be guided. To some, he taught the truth in order to lead them from ill deeds, some for the sake of good deeds, to some for the sake of both, and beyond both, he taught the hidden truth, terrifying to the mind, concealed in the absence of being, an universal compassion, Shunnita Karuna Garbham, and to eight others he taught the realization of enlightenment. Now it can be connected to that one, when Arya Pariyesan Sutta, where Pratisodgami tendency, where he surrendered his ideals that I shall eliminate the suffering of entire humanity. So that is one. And next one I had like Paramita, etc. I think most of the things I have covered, and I have no time. Perhaps is it okay? And some of the question, if you are asking, they will answer right answer.
Professor Prasad started his lecture with personal journeys of suffering, and you saw how he argumentatively related that to the concept of mass suffering and ultimately converted it into the universal concept of suffering. That is actually the starting point of the Buddha's teaching. And with the help of some exemplary structures of his cardinal concepts, you try to connect rightly to the topic that you have chosen for today's lecture. So thank you, sir. I thank you once again from the core of my heart. And now this lecture is open for discussion.
First of all, hearty congratulations on this lucid and profound lecture. But I have this an ethical issue with the problem, this concept of bodhisattva. Bodhisattva as someone who will liberate all humanity from all the sufferings. So the problem is, if the sufferer is not uh, trying to achieve liberation from suffering, and he or she is depending on someone else, by affirming this principle, you are depriving the moral agent of his or her personal autonomy, the moral agency. This is my question.
देखिए, you are a doctor. Of course, PhD तो है ही, the medical doctor. You diagnose that I have this problem. You write a prescription and ask the patient to take it timely. Okay. Now, if the patient is not ready to go to the doctor, doctor will not go to his or her house and drag them. ऐसा तो नहीं होता है. Now he is the expert, Vaishajya Guru. And then, because it is inside you, you have to tell to the doctor that I have these diseases. It's not the social at this stage. Social problem that all the agents hospital will be closed or something like this one. If I understood your question, something like this one, you can repeat that question. But that one is that you have to express. I know many people who don't express their pains. बहुतों को तो है ही नहीं, अगोत्र है. मेरे पिताजी अगोत्र हुआ करते थे. किस तरह करते थे? He used to go to in throughout the condition, whether it is winter or summer or any other weather, he will go to take bath in the Sarayu Nadi, and he used to get, I mean, uncomfortable, So he was almost, one time he was in coma, something like this one. He was aged 75. And then an allopathic doctor came and gave injection. Okay. Now he recovered. But when he came to know that allopathic has been used for my treatment, he was so angry, so angry. He was so angry. That is the thing there. He had not, because he believed in the naturopathy actually. This is. If you have to diagnose, but you will be diagnosed by others because of your conduct. एक लड़की से एक प्यार करता है, पर्सनल रिलेशंस में रहता है, क्या करते हैं, कौन सा लैंग्वेज यूज करते हैं, जो बिना शादी हो रहे एक साथ रहते हैं, लिव इन रिलेशनशिप, रिलेशन, उसका जान मार देता है, तो भी क्रोध नहीं जाता है, उसका नफरत नहीं जाती है। जनरली क्रोध जो है थोड़े दिन में शांत हो जाता है। ये तो शेर भी नहीं करता, ये तो सांप भी नहीं करता। खाने के काम आता तो कुकिंग करके मांस खा जाता, वो भी चलो जानवर करता है। 35 टुकड़े कहां कहां बिखर दिया। हाउ, माने आप ये समझते, एक्सट्रीम काइंड ऑफ hatred, and how can one carry? Now, nobody had diagnosed that man, the neighbors or the family, etc. But from the head, there is a disease inside you, and you don't close. Atangwadi, they don't disclose, but they disclose. And then, for example, suppose in the conduct, but the conduct is the social context where we are influencing. So from a context, you can a doctor, etc., or a policeman will diagnose that, okay, you are like this. आप कहिए, चुप रहिए, you look a very good one. Many cases are there, you look very good. कोई बात नहीं, हमने कई बार, in many cases, in some cases there's something. But as a professor, I have to say something very politely, the truth. In many cases, I am telling you. बहुत से एक्सपीरियंस, 5 कॉलेज का मैं चेयरमैन रहा, 2 साल से the files were not clear. In every college, 500 files in 4 hours and 150 files in 10 minutes I cleared. How? You have the same. The doctor will say that all of these, they are viral. अभी थोड़ा सा हमको जो थोड़ा सा गला खराब हुआ, उसने कहा कि इसमें यही चल रहा है, तो डॉक्टर ने उसको डायग्नोस किया बिकॉज ऑफ द सिचुएशन एटसेट्रा एंड दिस। बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स है, यू डोंट नो योरसेल्फ, आई डोंट नो माई सेल्फ, बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स है, बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स है। बट दैट इज समथिंग व्हिच इज इंटरनलाइज्ड एंड यू आर नॉट एक्सप्रेसिंग। मनसा वाचा कर्मणा, if you are not expressing, then you will not be called. So you have to come out, but at the same time inside you. एक और छोटा एग्जांपल है, फिर दूसरा क्वेश्चन ले लीजिएगा। There was a time before I went to Australia, there was my neighbor who had the tumor inside the stomach for a long time, and he was crying and uncomfortable throughout the day and night, and he was quite old, 70 plus or 75. I said that his son was my friend, and then I brought him to BHU hospital, and BHU hospital says that no, it's a big tumor, it has to be. So in the OPD, suddenly and then what happened, that after 3 or 4 days, because before surgery, the doctors tries to keep the patient in the sense that he tolerates, or he, at least for the surgery, before surgery, you try to make it as healthy as possible temporarily. He forced the patient and the doctor in the night at 1 o'clock, forced that, और गालियां देकर के उसने कहा, ये क्या जानेगा, मैं 20 साल से तो दूध पी करके मैंने सारा बीमारी थी, हमें कोई बीमारी नहीं है, कहाँ बीमारी है, जब से आए हैं 4 दिन से हमको कोई बीमारी नहीं है। एंड देन ही बिरला हॉस्टल में चलाया वो आदमी। आफ्टर 3 hours at 3 o'clock or 4 he started crying, बबुआ बड़ी गलती हम कही, बहुत गए थे खाने, डॉक्टर के भी गाली दे देनी तू इतना मेहनत से ले आयल मारा, वो सब बेकार गई, बबुआ हम जी ना, और भर्ती करा देना। वापस फिर आए भर्ती करने के लिए, उसने मना कर दिया, because you had surrendered, and now he said that okay, on next day the same doctor will be in the OPD, you go and then you start from the beginning to begin at the beginning। क्या कर सकते हैं, बहुत सी चीजें नहीं है ही नहीं, उन तो a fraction also। Somehow lots of things come to my mind, experiences from here and there। क्या करें? एक गुरुजी ने हमारे स्कूल में कह दिया, जल्दी से एक क्वेश्चन आएगा, इसके बाद आप कोई कहानी नहीं सुनाएंगे। तो उसने 30-40 का था, गुरुजी ने टाइप कर दिया कि दिस इज द मैथमेटिक्स एंड सॉल्व करो। मैंने क्या किया कि जल्दी से I was so overconfident that I solved this one. I run to the teacher that I have solved. How come? That's a difficult mathematical formula and you have solved in seconds. I guess, sir, I have. तो जब उन्होंने कहा, देखा, all other students were very much, you can say that perplexed or inferiority कि हरिशंकर जो है तो जल्दी से दिखा दिया। तो पंडित जी ने कहा कि चिंता मत करो, मैं बताता हूँ। एक कहानी यह है कि दूल्हा दुल्हन जो होता है, शादी होती है, वो पाठक जी थे वहाँ के बलिया के, जो पढ़ाने आए थे हमारे यहाँ। तो उन्होंने ये कहा, डोंट वरी, इफ यू टेक मोर टाइम डोंट वरी। तब उन्होंने कहा कि देखो एक कहानी है कि दूल्हा दुल्हन जो है शादी हो रही थी और लास्ट टाइम था सिंदूर लगाने का और चक्कर लगाने का। पता नहीं चक्कर लगा के साधु सिंदूर होता है, सिंदूर हम तो भूल गए, इतना लंबा शादी थोड़ा। एंड दैट वन दैट तब उसने ये कहा कि एक कहानी है कि वो जो है तैयारी जो भी नहीं थी, और उस तैयारी में पाठक सर ने कहा कि ये तय किया इन्होंने जल्दी सॉल्व करने के लिए, तो उन्होंने तो ही थॉट दैट नाउ दिस इज द राइट टाइम टू टेक द सिंदूर, वो चुटकी में ले लिया। और अभी तो पंडित जी नहीं कहा कि जो नाउ दिस इज द टाइम फॉर सिंदूर दान एटसेट्रा। एंड दुल्हा जो है रिलैक्स थी, अब थोड़ा इधर देखती थी, कौन इधर तो थोड़ा कभी नहीं हिला। एक तो इसे डिसिप्लिन लगती हैं लड़कियां शादी के समय, पता नहीं अब है कि नहीं, हम नहीं बता सकते। तो उसने ये किया कि उसने वो तैयार एकदम इतना हाथ लेकर बैठा था। अब उसने पंडित जी ने कहा, अच्छा चलिए संदीप तैयार कीजिए सारी। तो बहू जो अभी सोची कभी कि कुछ सेकंड बाकी है, पंडित जी ने कहे ना करेंगे, तो जो ऐसे किया जैसे उसने थोड़ा इधर देखा, तब तो पंडित जी ने कह दिया। अब इसको इतनी जल्दी थी कि सिंदूर कनपट्टी बता दिया। तो कहा कि अरे शंकर जो वो है जो हड़बड़ी के विवाह कनपट्टी सिंदूर। ये चीज जो है, इट्स नॉट कनपट्टी का सिंदूर। यानी मूर्ति बुक इज नॉट द प्रोडक्ट ऑफ कनपट्टी का सिंदूर, आई एम टेलिंग यू। और बुद्धिज्म इज नॉट द कनपट्टी का सिंदूर। बी केयरफुल, you try to understand that 3 lenses Professor Murthi is wearing, 3 lenses, Mādhyamika, Vedanta and Kant. This is not a small, and at the same time अपने घर में जो है अपनी कारिका और एक तरह की जो है भाष्य लिया या प्रसन्न पदा जो वृत्ति लिया, वो जो है प्रसंग का, और उस समय दूसरे अवेलेबल नहीं थे। लेकिन ये है ब्रिलियंट architectonic arrangement of this text that he has taken all this and he has managed successfully. वो दूसरी बात है कि बहुत सी चीज। थैंक यू।
Thank you, sir, for beautifully answering the question. One question?
एक मेरी जिज्ञासा है कि सर आपने कहा कि हमको मूर्ति साहब को प्री मूर्ति साहब, कंटेम्परेरी और पोस्ट मूर्ति साहब के परिप्रेक्ष्य में अगर हम पढ़ें तो सेंटर फिलॉसफी ऑफ बुद्धिज्म जो उनकी पुस्तक है उसमें प्रायः जैसा कि आपके भी वक्तव्य से जो मैंने समझा तो सेंटर फिलॉसफी के रूप में वो जो है नागार्जुन के मध्यमा प्रतिपद को लेते हैं, शून्यवाद को लेते हैं, और एक तरफ वो वेदांत से और कांट से उनका कंपैरिजन भी करते हैं। लेकिन अगर मैं जो सोच रहा हूं कि पोस्ट अगर हम मूर्ति साहब को पढ़ें तो ज्ञानश्री ने भी अपने विज्ञानवाद को माध्यमिक दर्शन सिद्ध किया और जो उनकी निस्वभावता है उस निस्वभावता का केवल परिवर्तन उन्होंने कहा कि विज्ञान सस्वभाव जो विज्ञान है वही वास्तव में मध्यमा प्रतिपद है। इसलिए मुझे मेरा यह कहना है कि अगर हम सेंट्रल फिलॉसफी के रूप में अगर विज्ञानवाद को लें, योगाचार दर्शन को लें और उसको पुनः इसको प्रतिस्थापित करें कि बुद्धिज्म के सेंट्रल फिलॉसफी क्या है, क्या विज्ञानवाद है या शून्यवाद है। और दूसरा भी आपने दो शब्द प्रयोग किए हैं कि मूर्ति साहब ने शब्द लिखा है अद्वैत और अद्वय, तो ग्राह्य ग्राहक शून्य जो विज्ञान है वहां पर वो अद्वय शब्द का प्रयोग करते हैं और इसी को उन्होंने एक अखंड चित्राद्वैत भी सिद्ध किया है। तो क्या हम आज के परिप्रेक्ष्य में अगर देखें तो सेंट्रल फिलॉसफी ऑफ बुद्धिज्म क्या नागार्जुन का शून्यवाद ना होकर के क्या धर्म कीर्ति का या दिग्नाग की परंपरा से चली आ रही जो ज्ञानश्री तक की परंपरा है उसमें सस्वभाव विज्ञानवाद जिसे मध्यमा प्रतिपद कहते हैं, क्या इस रूप में उसकी व्याख्या नहीं की जा सकती? मेरी यही जिज्ञासा है।
बिल्कुल किया जा सकता। यदि आपके पास शक्ति है, यदि आपके पास एक आर्किटेक्टोनिक आपके डिजाइन है, आप में जो है, देखिए एक चीज है, हमने कहा यद यद यस्य प्रियम, दिस इज नॉट माय कोटेशन, ये तो चंद्रकीर्ति का है ना। और यद यद यस्य प्रियम तत् तत् तस्य समाचार। आपको लड्डू अच्छा लगता है, हमको जो है पकौड़ी दिखाई देती है, क्या कर लेंगे? आपको लड्डू दिखाई देता है, हमको पेड़ा अच्छा दिखाई देता है, आपको ये देता है, हमको ये देता है। बट एट द सेम टाइम you must have sufficient, I mean adequate, अंग्रेजी में कहा adequate account of XYZ, adequate, not perfect, but it becomes perfect for you because you cannot manage. If Professor Murthy, ये तो अपने घर की बात है ना, बुद्धिज्म के घर की बात आपने कही है। मैं ये कह रहा हूं कि आपके सामने इतनी वेराइटीज है। हमने किचन का मॉडल दिया, किचन का मॉडल यही नहीं दिया कि आपके पास सब्जी भी है 20 किस्म के, तो 20 सब्जी बना देंगे एक ही कढ़ाई में, हलवा भी उसी में बनाएंगे, या उसमें जो है और कुछ जो है नमक, जितना नमक लाए हैं 1 किलो 2 किलो, जितना जो मसाला 50 लाए सब इसी कढ़ाई में नहीं डालेंगे ना, बिकॉज इट टेस्ट इट इज स्पॉइल्ड। So that's why the kitchen model is there. Your idea is the kitchen. ये माइंड का मेंटल कंटेंट के साथ है, एक जो ऑब्जेक्टिव कंटेंट के साथ है। इसलिए आप जिसकी बात कह रहे हैं, अगर उसमें ज्ञानश्री मित्र को अगर कांट मिल गए होते, प्लेटो मिल गए होते, कोपरनिकन रिवोल्यूशन के जो है क्लेम, तो मूर्ति साहब ने जो कहा है तो कोई मीनिंगफुल ना कहा है। ये बात कर रहे हैं कि एनीवे आपके पास, जैसे मान लीजिए कि आपके पास हम 100 ब्रिक्स दे दे रहे हैं, आप कहिए कि 5 मंजिल का आप खड़ा कर दीजिए, 20 ब्रिक से कर देंगे, 5-20 पत्थर में तो नहीं ना कर सकते। अगर आपको एक बनाना है तो 1 लाख ईंट चाहिए, 5 बनाना है तो 25 लाख ईंट चाहिए। कि इतने बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक्स आपके पास इकट्ठा तो करें, घर में है और बाहर भी करना है। ये क्वेश्चन है कि हमारे पास उसका जो है द थिंग इज दैट इन इंस्टेड ऑफ brick I cannot take any other material which is very loose to hold the you can say जिसको जहां फाउंडेशन है उसको लोड तो लेना चाहिए, एंड दैट्स व्हाई यू डू एनीथिंग द वे यू वांट, द वे यू आर स्ट्रक, बट देयर मस्ट बी ए जस्टिफिकेशन and the best is, and if you are talking of Mādhyamika, you have to take the building blocks from him first. At the same time, you can say that a Mādhyamika is dependent on some other factory from Sutra, etc. And that's why within that, हर आदमी जो है इतनी commentaries है, and that's why, and because there is a possibility, adequate possibility is there. So you see in the Shantarakshit, the way he has synthesized, the way he has synthesized, and that's why there is sometimes a difficulty that to make the distinction. उन्होंने निस्वभाव कर दिया, इन्होंने कहा कि त्रिस्वभाव होता है जी, आप एक स्वभाव कहते हैं, हम तो त्रिस्वभाव कहते हैं, और त्रिस्वभाव करके त्रिस्वभाव शून्यता भी कर दिया। तो वो चीज है कि फुटबॉल जो मारते हैं, रूल्स अलग चीज है, आपकी स्किल अलग चीज है। वो आता है, बॉल आता है, ऐसा घुमार कर मारता है कि गोल कहता है कि तो इधर मुंह किया है, वो ऐसा घुमार कर मारता है कि गोल हो गया। नाउ व्हाट इज योर स्किल? स्किल दैट इज यू हैव टू स्टडी दैट। रूल्स जानना अलग है, आपकी मेथोडोलॉजी और स्किल अलग हो जाता है, ये चीज है। तो आप जो कहे वो बिल्कुल सही है, लेकिन मूर्ति साहब को पढ़ने में ये लगता है कि दिस इज माई डिफिकल्टी, इट्स नॉट सर्टेनली, ऑफ कोर्स आई एम नॉट एवरी ब्लेम आई एम टेकिंग, but I find that different sorts of conceptual framework you are at the time आप नहीं कर सकते, इसलिए मेरा एग्जाम्पल कई जगह हुआ कि आपको मिर्च मसाला डालकर जो सब्जी बना रहे हैं, जिसमें इतना मिर्च डालें, इतने मसाला लगे, इधर चला नहीं, एक साइड में कढ़ाई के इधर जो मसाला सब्जी बना रहे हैं, इधर हलवा बना रहे हैं, कर सकते हैं। दोनों साइड में हलवा भी बने, इधर भी नहीं कर सकते।
Thank you, sir, for beautifully answering all the questions. Now it is time to have presidential remark. So I request Professor S. Vijay Kumar, sir, to give his remark.
Shri Gurubhyo Namah. I am standing here just for two reasons. The first reason, which I cherish most, is that I am the student of Professor T.R.V. Murthi. Tirupattur Ramashesha Venkatachala Murthi. Murthi is not a name in itself. There is no such name as Murthi. It is always attached with some name. Venkatachala Murti. Murti means simply statue, form. So there should be some name attached to it. So Professor Murti came from Tirupattur, North Arcot district. His father's name was Ramashesha Iyer, and his name was Venkatachala Murti. So when he used to write in Sanskrit, he used to write Tirupattur Ramashesha Venkatachala Murti Sharma. So because of this qualification that I am the student of Professor Murti, I am standing here. The second reason is Harishankar Prasad. Harishankar Prasad was always complaining that I do not get much time to elaborate my lecture. I must be given enough time. So our head of the department knows very well that I do not speak much. So he has invited me to preside this lecture so that Harishankar Prasad may get enough time. Now at least you will not have any complaints. You know. I find two similarities between Harishankar Prasad ji and Professor Murthy. As he himself said, he led a very life in poverty. Professor Murthy was not that much poor, but at the call of non-cooperation movement, he left his college in Tiruchirappalli and left everything. He came with a small bag with one mundu, and traveled all the way from Tiruchirappalli to Gandhiji. No, later he first went to Gandhiji along with his elder brother, Govindaraj Sharma, to join non-cooperation movement. He came all the way on foot. And by that time, Gandhiji has revoked his non-cooperation movement. So he said, you go. So they were not willing to go back to their place and came to Gurukul Kangri, Haridwar. And Professor Murthy was staying there for 1 year. Then from there he came to Varanasi. And he was not also getting any money from anybody. He lived on his own. And Banaras has, you know, that it gives place to everybody. You know? And he was not knowing Hindi. He knew only Tamil and English. Here he learned Hindi, Sanskrit, and all other languages. And he came to Malviji and joined this university. And his father also came, and Professor Malviji wanted him to appoint as a professor in English. But he refused. He went back, Govindaraj Sharma. Second thing, Professor Murthy used to write in a aphoristic manner. He elaborated, but not much. This man also took so many topics together, pointed out them, and now it is for you to elaborate them and understand them. That's what is my understanding. Maybe it is my priya. And I will say something about Professor Murthy, 2 points, not more than that. Number one, he held very fast that every system has some axioms, postulates. And if you develop that postulate according to logical rules, then the whole system can be erected. The whole system, there are some postulates, basic concepts which is accepted by any system, all the Indian systems of Indian philosophy. And if you develop that concept, then you will find the entire mention of that system. That basic postulates may be 1 or 2 or 3. It does not matter. If one is having only one concept, this does not mean that philosophy is superior. Because even one concept, one postulate can be a thick one or complicated one and can be analyzed into many concepts. And those who are holding 2, 3 postulates, maybe those postulates are simple, and with the help of them, you can erect the whole philosophy. So this he tried, and he has shown in some cases in realism. And also said that if you have these postulates, you can relatively place different philosophies in proper place. So in some cases he has shown, now it is for us to show it in other systems. He wanted to show it, but he was planning, but he could not write. His thesis, the Mādhyamika dialectic, was published as Central Philosophy of Buddhism. And he has written not many books, only one book, Central Philosophy of Buddhism, and he attained lot of name and fame because of this book. There was one professor here, Naval Kishore Devraj ji, Yan K. Devraj, not conjunction Devraj. Do you remember this? So Yan K. Devraj used to say that he has written only one book, and I have written number of books, but I could not get that fame. So with the help of one book, Professor Murthi attained lot of name and fame. But Mādhyamika was not his philosophy. It was not dear to him. At heart, he loved Vedanta, not Mādhyamika. Since he was teaching Mādhyamika philosophy here at that time, he took this topic because there were not many books on this topic, on this philosophy. Earlier, his PhD topic was the concept of spirit in Indian philosophy. This was his topic, but later he changed it to Mādhyamika dialectic. In Amalner also, he has written many articles and one small book, Ajnana, along with J.R. Malkani and Professor R. Das. And there he has shown his capacity in Advaita Vedanta. Number of books. Here also in the department, he was giving seminar lectures on Chitsukhi, Panchapadika Vivarana, and Advaita Siddhi. And these lectures were for many hours. Around 1 o'clock he will start and it will go up to 6 o'clock in the evening. Professor Murthi was a very talented teacher, gifted teacher. And as his writings are not so expressive. Expressive means not detailed. His writings are better than Professor K.C. Bhattacharya's writing. Professor K.C. Bhattacharya used to write in axiomatic way. But Professor Murthi was his student in Amalner. When Professor Murthi was in Amalner for about 7 years, after doing MA here, he went to Amalner near Bombay, Indian Institute of Philosophy. And there, K.C. Bhattacharya was a faculty member. So he was teaching. He was delivering lectures, many lectures every day. And Professor Murthi used to say that his lectures were very explanatory. And Kalidasa Bhattacharya, who was the son of Professor K.C. Bhattacharya, used to say that Professor Murthi alone has understood the philosophy of K.C. Bhattacharya. He knows better than me. This was Professor Murthi. So, with these words, I thank the head and also my friend Harishankar Prasad, who was my classmate in BA and MA, and also during PhD. Then he went, and now what he has learned here is propagating it outside Varanasi. Ambika ji is also doing. I remained here itself. And that's all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your beautiful presidential remark. Now we have already become late. So I request Dr. Pramod Bagde for a formal vote of thanks.
I've been asked to make a very brief vote of thanks. So first of all, I would like to thank today's speaker, Professor H.S. Prasad, uh, who gave us a detailed exposition of uh, TVR Murthy's classic, The Central Philosophy of Buddhism. So, sir, we can't thank you enough. You have been kind enough to come over here and enlighten us with your thoughtful, very scholarly lecture. Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to thank uh, the president of this session, Professor Vijay Kumar sir, for his his remarks, which were marked by his personal attachment with Professor Murthi. Similarly, I would like to thank Professor Ambika Sharma ji for being present here, and he's going to be the next speaker. Maybe tomorrow he'll be speaking on some topic. I would also like to thank Professor D.K. Mohanta for being here. He's the next, like the speaker of next session. I would like to thank Professor Anand Mishra sir, who has been kind enough to accept this lecture series. And last but not the least, I would like to thank ICFIA for instituting and funding this lecture series. Similarly, I would like to thank all the enlightened audience who have been here throughout the lecture and who have listened attentively to the lecture. Thanks all. Now I would like to invite all of you for lunch. Thank you.